Well, congratulations. We've made it to another episode, and welcome to all of our listeners out there. Cheer to you, Davy Longwood and Hellfire Henley. Cheers to you.
Cheers, Captain.
Cheers.
You may notice that the backdrop for the captain's quarters is a little different. Today has been a very trying day. This captain does not like technology. So, we're working with it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the secondary captain's quarters for our podcast tonight. And we've got a whole lot of things to talk about and share with you. It's going to be a nice, relaxing evening because I've decided that after a day of stress working with technology, I would rather have a nice, relaxing evening and conversation with many of my friends over a rum or two. So here we be. So welcome everybody. There'll be no special guest tonight, although in a few minutes we'll be giving a special shout out to all of our special guests. But wait and see what you say. How about our quote of the week? Our quote of the week comes from a great president. How fitting it is. There is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. It is something that I've tried to live by, and it's one of the reasons why, with our crew, our St. Augustine Swashbucklers, I try to make sure that the crew gets the credit. There's nobody within the crew that's more important than the crew itself. So that's, those of you watching, that's why I live by that. That's why the crew is more important than any one person. Keep it in mind, because that's what makes a crew strong. We'll talk about that later on if you want. We'll listen to a few people. Sketchy guy, I see you're on. Nightingale in Florida, very good. And a special shout out to the Little Traveler. And if that is Michael, then I now know your name. If not, I'll pay attention because I'm watching with a different computer. I'm able to watch some of the things coming in. How about the question of the week? Since it is, ladies and gentlemen, President's Day, how about if we tell each other what our favorite or who our favorite president was? Now, some of us can go back a few years and talk about presidents that we were alive for. Actually, to be honest with you, I was alive as far back as Dwight David Eisenhower. So give that some thought. But we'll see if anybody has their favorite president and they want to talk about it in a few minutes. But for now, let's move on to Crew Adventures. Crew Adventures, ladies and gentlemen, 2022. There it is. There's our poster. The Celtic Festival is coming up in just a couple of weeks. We are on the Spring Fest. They have not made exact plans with us, but we are working towards it. In April will be the Pirates of Pontchartrain in Hammond, Louisiana. Now, I won't be able to go this year, but we still want to support them. And I believe that I'll be having my good friend Alvin Brumfeld on with us to talk about the festival about a week out from his festival. June 18th will be a Midsummer Night's Dream Gala. We're working still on a rum festival for the summer. And ladies and gentlemen, our Christmas and our Halloween yards are looking strong already. And of course, there's the flag for the Captain's Quarters podcast every Monday night. We stay pretty busy. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in, keep up, come visit us at any of our events. We may even have some surprises soon, too. And let me talk about this weekend coming up before I turn it over to our navigator. Lincoln. I wasn't alive, though. Favorite alive. Thank you very much, Ms. Creamer. George Washington. Yes, the first president of the United States. So let's talk about George Washington, but James Polk is close. There's an odd one. James Polk. This weekend coming up, there are 200 plus pirates from all over the world converging in St. Augustine. It is the induction of the Order of the Leviathan. We did the special event episode 2 weeks ago, talked about it, had Flintlock Farrell on board with us, and we talked about the entire weekend. On Thursday night, I'm doing a very special private tour for many of the pirates that come into town early. On Friday night is a meet and greet over at Dog Ruse Brewery. Saturday during the day, the morning induction of the 2020 and 2022 inductees. That will be 26 different ones if they're all here. Most of them, I believe, will be here. And then on Saturday night, the evening ball. Tickets are still available, but I was told about 2 days ago there's only about a dozen to 3 dozen left. So if you want your tickets, you can go on Eventbrite and get your tickets to that and be a part of it. It all happens at the Colonial Quarter on Sunday, the 27th, a black powder cannon firing event. They'll be firing black powder, and they've actually had a few plywood ships and other silhouettes to shoot at, and they'll be using live ammunition, ladies and gentlemen, from black powder muskets, cannons, and pistols. So it'll be an event worth the entire weekend. And if you have not had a chance to come and meet some of these pirates, come down and say hello and enjoy yourself meeting pirates from all over the world. And that is the Order of Leviathan, which I happen to be a member. In 2012, I was inducted as a member of the Order of Leviathan. They started in 2010. They do it every even year. Enough of that. Davey Longwood, you and the Powder Monkey both were involved in an event that included one of our own very special ladies of the crew, Miss Gina, who was there for the Pirate and Mermaid Festival. But instead of me doing the talking, I'll have a sip of my rum. Mr. Longwood, give him a heads up.
Yes. So I was there, not as the navigator, but as Powder Monkey. There I am.
It looks like you got a new friend. Look at that little feathery guy.
Yeah, I was surprised the new friend didn't mind getting on Powder Monkey. And it was nice. Of course, Gina's lovely dancers performed 2 different sets. And we had a lot of support from some of her dancers, also crew members.
Yes, I see Tinker there. I see Steve Kreider, our new one of the new officers of our crew. I see Mr. Ed there over in black. And look at the fancy wear that Miss Cece is wearing. A new coat. We want to point that out to everybody because she's really proud of that coat. So we'll let her know that we love her outfit now. And look at all the lovely girls. You'd think they were after going up to a Jaguars event with all that color.
And they captured a shot. Powder Monkey was dancing with the ladies. The ladies always do. It's a pirate booty song that they throw in.
Well, very good.
So Miss Gina said, "Please have Powder Monkey join us." And I said, "All right." There was lots of children there.
So was it just a street event? Was it a purposeful event for a charity, or was it just something that somebody was putting on?
I think it was something that somebody was putting on. They had all the vendors. We were actually in that Tomica. It's surrounded by almost like all these different stores. So we're actually in one of their parking lots. They had a whole parking lot cornered off, and people had different wares they were selling. It was stretched out in a square. The event coordinator asked Powder Monkey to go to each of the booths, hold up whatever they're selling, and do like a promo thing for them with pictures. So.
Well, very good, very good. We really enjoy supporting any of our own crew if they're doing something at an event. So we must make sure that we work on that a little more.
And Gina teams up with us a lot.
Yes.
Sirens and
yes, she does. She's worked with us on many events. In fact, she'll be working. I believe she's working the Celtic Festival and the Spring Festival that we're doing with the St. Augustine Lions Club. I believe I've worked it out that she's joining us in our pirate area. So we'll see what happens. I'm still waiting for the final contract on that. That is the end of March, the last weekend of March. So a good time was had by all then, it appears.
Yes, it was.
Very good, very good. Well, maybe we can get more involved with them and make it a wonderful event every year. We'll have to talk to them and see what we can do. So I'm looking at some of the Kara. Yeah, I was told that. Disappointing, right? Thank you. I'm just reading everything. This is the first time I've ever had a screen where I can read the comments as they come in. Oh, there's Scarlet Deerheart too. Ransom Mayhem. Look at them all. Very good. It turned out to be a fun event. Nightingale in Florida. Very good. Well, looked like a fun event. I'm sorry that I had to work at the museum. I had 5 tours for the day at the at the museum. So it was a good event. What do you think, Hellfire? Maybe next year we can go and egg on the Powder Monkey?
Yeah, indeed. I would have went over the weekend, but I was a bit busy and it was just a bit too short of notice for me.
That's all right. We can't be at all of the events, but we need to start as a crew and as pirates start to support as many events as we can, especially those events that are simple, easy, and to the point. So we will keep up with those. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is President's Day. It was a national holiday. Banks were closed. Things were happening. The city was pretty busy. Downtown St. Augustine was busy all weekend, 3-day weekend. I usually like those 3-day weekends. So we decided that this whole episode, from here until almost the end of the episode, we're just going to talk about many things having to do with the presidents of the United States. And those presidents will be our guests tonight. How many presidents are there in the time frame that we've had presidents? That's the first question to see if anybody answers it. For now, though, let's do it as if we had the president coming here. Mr. Longwood, music, please. Where'd it go? Don't make me play it on the harmonica. There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Hail to the Chief, the song that is played as the entrance song every time the President of the United States comes into public. Now, that song has a lot of history to it. Believe it or not, it was not used. Now I have to put on my specs for some of this because I'm reading the other screen. It was first used in presidential context in 1815 to honor the belated George Washington and to celebrate the end of the War of 1812. It was under the title Wreaths for the Chieftain. It was in 1829 that Andrew Jackson became the first living president to be honored by Hail to the Chief. And when he did, the tradition of playing the anthem to signal the arrival of the president would begin. It was First Lady Julia Tyler, wife of President John Tyler, who first made that request on behalf of her husband. Several of the presidents never liked the song. In fact, some of them disdained about it and were not happy with the song. But tradition is tradition, and that's the best part about being the president. You abide by tradition. The song actually has some lyrics, but it came from a romantic melody and lyrics from a Scottish playwright in 1810. When you lose a tooth or two, sometimes you have problems speaking. 1810, Lady of the Lake. The words actually are, Hail to the Chief we have chosen for the nation. Hail to the Chief, we salute him one and all. Hail to the Chief as we pledge cooperation in proud fulfillment of a great noble call. Yours is the aim to make this grand country grander. This you will do. That's our song, Firm Belief. Hail to the one we selected as commander. Hail to the president. Hail to the chief. I've been lucky enough to be in the same room that song has been played and the president of the United States walks in. To me, it's very touching. I really enjoy the song. But enough about that. Let's move on with something else. Some trivia. Some things we think that you might enjoy.
Oh, Captain, do you want the trivia or do you want me to go ahead and first play that?
Oh, yes.
This Week in History is all presidents.
Play your all presidents this week in history, please. Very good, Davey. Those are very interesting things about the president and the office of the president. It's a very interesting job, to say the least. But let's talk about some of the things. Should we ask it as a question or should we give them the information? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Reagan are my favorites. Thank you, Nightingale in Florida. George Washington, the first president, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th, and then, of course, Ronald Reagan. While we're talking about Ronald Reagan, holy rocking out, Davy Longwood, turns down the volume. Hey, have volume on your own computers too, you know. So let me show you something that's very special to me. See if I can hold it up to the camera just right. A presidential inaugural vehicle. I was part of Ronald Reagan's second inaugural and was on the detail, in fact, in charge of the detail for the vehicles that were assigned to take care of all the celebrities that were coming to the week-long party to wish Ronald Reagan a congratulations for his second term. I kept that card as one of them. I had several others, but I'd given them away as gifts over the years. But I kept that. It's a very special thing for me that I was part of Ronald Reagan's second inaugural. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of celebrities, and I also met a lot of politicians. Some of them are no longer here. But that's one of my pieces of memorabilia that I like to keep. Let's talk about the youngest president. Now, there's a toss-up on this for the youngest president. I'm sure most people might know who the youngest president was. I'll give you 15 seconds to figure it out. There it is. Look at that. Davy Longwood is right on. The youngest president to become president by election was John Fitzgerald Kennedy. He was inaugurated at the age of 43. Now, Theodore Roosevelt actually is the youngest. He was 42 at his inauguration, but he was not elected at that time. He became president, and McKinley was assassinated. Yes, McKinley was assassinated. Later on, we're going to talk about that. The assassinations, attempts, and successes we'll talk about. Now, who do you think is the oldest president? Wait, Mr. Longwood, don't pop it up just yet. Do you think anybody can guess? It's pretty present. Go ahead, Mr. Henley, tell everybody. Quiet. Who do you think?
I don't know. Is it Mr. Joe?
It is Mr. Joe. Joe Biden is 87 years old. He is the oldest president that we've had in office. And it just is really hard not to say anything that would be negative against the age. But ladies and gentlemen, I can't say anything. I know, and look at Henley biting his tongue there. Very good, Nate. Very good. So, what are the qualifications to become president? I wonder if anybody actually really knows. There are only 3 qualifications to become president of the United States. Only 3. 3 it is. And those 3 qualifications are, the Constitution lists them as, you must be at least 35 years of age or older. You must be a natural born citizen of the United States of America, and you must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. Those are the only 3 requirements to become the President of the United States. I personally believe that there should be some other requirements. This is just me, not trying to cause any arguments with anybody that are watching. But I believe that if you are going to be the commander-in-chief of all the military forces of the United States of America, you should have had to have served some kind of time in that time frame. You should have had to done some time for your country in the military. Some people do not believe that and will not agree with me, but some things do not need to be said to be understood. Thank you, Miss Thomas. I appreciate that. Other than that, there is no other qualifications to be the president of the United States. And jokingly, ironically, or seriously, however you want to take it, I would say that in many cases, intelligence is not one of them. And I say it this way. I'm not sure that it's a smart thing to want to become the leader of the free world to have to put up with as much crap as these men have to put up with. It truly, truly takes a strong man to be able to do that. Ransom Mayhem said he could be president then. Is that after I made the comment about intelligence, Ransom? All right. So I have some great pieces of information that I think will interest everybody about the office of President of the United States. POTUS, P-O-T-U-S, President of the United States. So everybody's now on the kick for Dell for president. And Kara Creamer says that she thinks that common sense is more important than high IQ. I would agree with that too, except that common sense is not always common. How about this one? Who was the first American-born president? Prior to this president becoming president, none of the other men were born in America. So we have to go back a long ways. Would be the 8th president of the United States, Martin Van Buren. He was president from 1782 to 1862. The 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st presidents were all not American-born presidents. So this is the first American-born president. Who made Christmas a national holiday? There's a good one. Because now when you figure it out, well, you understand that Christmas hasn't always been around the way we celebrate it now. So, ladies and gentlemen, who do you believe it is? Ulysses S. Grant. He's the 18th president of the United States and makes it a national holiday on June 28, 1870. Oh, by the way, Ulysses S. Grant, he spent a lot of time smoking cigars, and that's what did him in. But we'll talk about that later. Here's one that I thought was very interesting. Which president was classically trained as a pianist and played 4 other instruments? Anybody know? Ladies and gentlemen, that would be Richard Milhous Nixon. He was the 37th president of the United States, born in 1913, passed away in 1994. He was a pianist, a violinist, he played the clarinet, the saxophone, and the accordion. 5 musical instruments. That's a talent, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Adam, might be time for you to start working on a couple of other instruments now. Who is the first and only U.S. president to serve non-consecutive terms? Non-consecutive, ladies and gentlemen. Non-consecutive would have been the 22nd and the 24th president of the United States was Grover Cleveland. I'm not sure I would be happy with the name Grover. But that's a different story.
Puppet.
Yes. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Which president turned down offers to play professional football? Anybody know? I'm going to hold that one for a minute. Davey, don't give him a hint right away. I will tell you this. I'll give you some hints. He attended the University of Michigan, where he was a star football player. The team won national titles in both 1932 and 1933. After graduation, he turned down offers to play with both the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Man, would have history been different had he chosen to do one of those 2 teams, because then he would have never become the 38th president of the United States, Mr. Gerald Ford. There you have it. Anybody know the president that was mocked in press for his very unkept appearance, very unstately ways of not being exactly presidential? That would be Abraham Lincoln, your 16th president of the United States. He also has a couple of other records we'll talk about in a few minutes. Now, all presidents get their paintings done, and those paintings reside in the White House. Would any of you happen to know which president hated his portrait so much that he burned it and got rid of it? He's the president. I guess he can do what he wants, right? That would have been Theodore Roosevelt, ladies and gentlemen. Theodore Roosevelt got rid of his own painting because he hated it so much. He was also a very intelligent man. Theodore Roosevelt was said to have a photographic memory and could read several pages of paper or a book or a newspaper and quote back to it faster than anybody else could read it themselves. Which president put up the first Christmas tree in the White House? That would be in 1833 to 1901, the 23rd president of the United States, Benjamin Harrison. Oh, and look, he somewhat looks like Santa Claus. That's coincidence because he was known to put on the Santa suit and entertain his grandchildren while they were there. He had a very tight-knit family, and his grandchildren lived in the White House with him. What a great idea, Santa Claus in the White House. Which president donated all of his presidential salary and his congressional salary before that to charity? Now, at first, when I read this, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I knew the answer until it said, and his congressional salary also. Anybody know? That would be the 35th president of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, once again in our highlights. He was born into wealth and prestige, and JFK was one of the richest men to take office. He lived off the Kennedy family's considerable trust, so he donated his congressional salary and later his presidential salary to charities like the United Negro College Fund, the Boy Scouts, and the Girl Scouts of America. But he wasn't the only one, ladies and gentlemen. In my investigations of following through with all this, I find out that President Herbert Hoover also donated his presidential salary during his term in office from 1929 to 1933. And of course, many of us do know that Donald Trump did the same thing from 2017 to 2021. So it was not unusual that Trump did it. It had already been done before him. He was not the pioneer in doing that. JFK did it not only for the time he was in office as president, but the entire time he was in Congress. A very noteworthy thing, to say the least. Cheers to JFK, Herbert Hoover, and Donald J. Trump. There you have it. Let's see. Which president and his wife hold the record for the longest married couple? I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'm going to give a hint out to Kara Creamer. You met the First Lady. You remember who it was? I'm giving her a chance to answer. I guess she's slow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Smith. We met Rosalind Carter when we were in Las Vegas and working at a Christmas tree lot one Christmas, and they were in Vegas visiting, and they needed a Christmas tree, and we sold them a Christmas tree, ladies and gentlemen. How about that for trivia? Who was the first president to ever ride a car? To his inauguration, that is. That would be Warren G. Harding in 1865 to 1923, 29th president of the United States. So those are some trivia things for you. Anybody got any questions or thoughts? I see all kinds of things popping up. Which president had a brother that had his own beer? Well, go figure that old Ransom Mayhem will ask that question. That would be Jimmy Carter and Billy Beer, his brother Billy. Good question, Ransom. Very good question. Let's see. Scarlett, you are wrong. George Bush and Laura, but they are in the top 4, I believe. Let's see. What else do I see? I'm glad Trump took a card from Kennedy's playbook. Kennedy was amazing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, JFK really was a very good president. Anything else we see? Nope, don't see anything else. So let's go on to a couple of other things. I'm going to skip over this first one because I want to come back to that in a little bit. I have a lot of information on assassinations and attempted assassinations, but I thought maybe I would give you this trivia question. Which president has 300 billion portraits of himself created? Anybody know? Hellfire, you got an idea? 300 billion portraits of himself.
I'm going to be very honest. I did not pay attention to this part in school at all.
I'm sure this wasn't in school but think about it. 300 billion. I'll tell you what, I'll give you another hint. His portrait is a sideways glance, a relief on copper. Got an idea? It is the penny, ladies and gentlemen. Abraham Lincoln on the penny. 300 billion portraits of Abraham Lincoln in copper circulating through this United States of America. I thought that was a pretty cool piece of trivia. 300 billion. That's a lot.
You see, I thought you meant like actual painting portraits. I didn't know you meant pennies. That makes more sense now.
Hey, a penny for your thoughts. All right. How about this one? How many presidents actually signed the Declaration of Independence? Anybody know? How many presidents actually signed the Declaration of Independence? I will give you one other hint. They both died on the 50th anniversary on July 4th, 1826. Anybody have it? Both presidents died in 1826 on July 4th. They were lifelong friends. And they're the only two men that became president of the United States that were signers of the Declaration of Independence. Two of them. The answer, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson is right. Nightingale in Florida, Jefferson is one of them. John Adams is the other. And they both died together. Well, not together, but on the same day. Who's the tallest president of the United States? Anybody know? Tallest president of the United States stood at 6'4" tall and was a strapling wrestler. His name was Abraham Lincoln. Very good, Davey. You're right on cue. And who is the shortest president? At 5'4". 5'4". James Madison. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The tallest and the shortest. We've done the tallest, the shortest, the oldest. Here's one for you. When President George Washington, when he became president, he had only one tooth. That's it. One tooth. He wore dentures made of human or animal teeth, ivory or lead, but never wood. The rumor has always been that it was wood teeth that he had, never wood. He also had another habit, though. George Washington was very, very good to his horses, and he spent time on a regular scheduled basis brushing the teeth of his horses. I guess maybe because he knew what it was like to not have teeth. Washington is also the only president that never lived in Washington, D.C. during his presidency. What city did he live in and function in as president of the United States? Anybody know? Mr. Longwood? Philadelphia. Wood, no wood. No wood, Miss Kramer, no wood. Let's see, what's this next one? Who holds the record for the most times being elected as president of the United States? Ah, Scarlett, that's a funny one. Maybe he did. Aye. So who holds the record for, and I'll give you this, he was elected 4 times to the office of President of the United States. In fact, after his time, they created the 22nd Amendment, ratified in 1951, limiting the term of office for president to 2 terms. It was Philadelphia, for all of you guessing. Philadelphia was the answer to where the presidency was held under Washington. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Mr. Davey, that's the wrong Roosevelt. That was Teddy.
That's right.
Teddy Roosevelt, ladies and gentlemen, that was. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected to office 4 times after his service in the 22nd Amendment was ratified. Here's a good one for all of you that are very much into national parks. Which president established the Yellowstone as the nation's first national park on March 1st, 1872? So the anniversary of that is coming up in about a week and a half. March 1st, 1872. Anybody know the president and any about it? Ulysses S. Grant, ladies and gentlemen, established the Yellowstone National Park, the first national park of the United States of America. Here's something I didn't know, and this is why I posted many of these things that I could share with you. It's because I found them interesting, and I hope you do too. Up until the time of one particular president, people were required to bow to the president. But this president decided that that was not proper and began doing handshakes with all of his guests at state affairs. Handshakes, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody know which president it was? It was not Grant or FDR. It was Thomas Jefferson. And an interesting point about Thomas Jefferson, he was a collector of books. He had over 6,000 books. All those books were purchased for $23,950, and they formed the very start of the Library of Congress, ladies and gentlemen. So all of Jefferson's books were used to begin the Library of Congress. It's a great place to do research, I can tell you that, and they're pretty protective of their books. Let's see. So here's one I thought was very interesting. I had no idea. In 1872, Virginia Woodhull was the nominee of the Equal Rights Party for President of the United States. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, having a president or a female run for president of the United States, that wasn't just recently in the last 2 decades. The first time was in 1872. She was a member of the Equal Rights Party. She was running against the one specific president. Anybody know who that president was? Ulysses S. Grant. Yes, Ulysses S. Grant. Some of you guys are getting pretty good with the guesses and the names. You're doing well out there. I'm glad we decided to do that this evening. So let's go back to something that I think will interest most of you, and that is assassinations and or attempts. How many assassinations have happened to presidents of the United States? Anybody know? I'll hold off before we talk about them. How many presidents of the United States have been assassinated in the history of the United States? Anybody answering? I don't see any yet. If you can give me the number, give me some names too. I know why you all are taking your time. You're all probably looking it up on Wikipedia, aren't you? 2, Michael J., you are not right. 2 is not the answer. Believe it or not, the answer is 4. There it is, Christy Thomas. Did she know it or did she look it up? The answer is 4, though. 4. So let me tell you who they were. The first one, the most obvious, Lincoln and Kennedy are 2. You're absolutely right. Garfield and McKinley. Those are the 4. There were lots and lots of other attempts, but we're going to talk about the successes of attempts. Abraham Lincoln, assassinated April 15th, 1865. Can anybody tell me who the assassin was? Becomes quite famous.
I know this one.
Who is it, Mr. Henley?
That was John Wilkes Booth.
That's right, John Wilkes Booth.
I paid attention a little.
Even though I'm a pirate. That's all right, Christy. If you had cheated, we'd expected it of you, being a pirate. So, Kennedy in 1865 is one of the first ones ever assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Now, after April 26, after being cornered in a barn outside the hamlet of Port Royal, Virginia, Booth was shot and killed by U.S. Army troops after refusing to surrender. Ladies and gentlemen, it saved the country court costs. The next one was July 2nd through September 19th, 4 months. Garfield. Charles Guiteau was a mentally disturbed man and was executed on June 30th of 1882. He shot Garfield on July 2nd, but Garfield lasted until September 19th, 1881. He might have lived, but the story is that his doctors probably did more damage than good to him because they spent so much time trying to dig out the 2 bullets that were lodged in his spine, and that's what killed him. The next one is McKinley, September 14th, 1901. September 6th, 1901, when Leon, and I cannot pronounce this name because it is spelled CZOLGOSZ. Figure that one out if you can. He stepped out of a crowd, drew a gun, and shot McKinley twice in the abdomen, in the stomach at point blank range. The bullets didn't immediately kill McKinley. He lived 8 days. It was gangrene from the wounds that killed him, and the killer was executed by the electric chair on October 29th of the same year. And then, of course, the one that everybody knows, Kennedy. Wasn't there a so-called curse about assassinations and presidents? You know, Miss Thomas, I'm going to have to look that up because I don't recall seeing that as I was doing my research here. Kennedy was killed on November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas by Lee Harvey Oswald. Just 2 days after Kennedy was killed, Oswald himself was shot to death on live TV as he was in police custody. Oswald's killer was Jack Ruby, who died in prison on January 3rd, 1967. All of that was huge conspiracy theories as to why one did this and one did that. I personally remember 1963. I was only just under 6 years old. So I remember that. Any questions about assassinations? Only 4. So now let's talk about some of the most notable attempts. The first recorded attempt on a president's life occurred in 1835 when English-born house painter Richard Lawrence attempted to shoot Andrew Jackson. Lawrence's gun misfired and Jackson was unarmed. Lawrence was found guilty by reason of insanity and died in an insane asylum in 1861. Aye, insane asylum. Let's see what else we have here. Theodore Roosevelt became president when McKinley was assassinated. He barely survived an attempt on his own life in 1912. Roosevelt had already left office but was trying for a 3rd term as an independent. He was speaking at a hotel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin when he was shot in the chest at close range by Bavarian saloon keeper John Flaming Schrank. Schrank's aim was good, but the bullet hit the eyeglass case in the president's breast pocket, as well as a huge copy of the speech he was about to give, saving his life. Schrank died in mental institution in Wisconsin in 1943. Really? There's an interesting point. Nightingale had just moved to St. Augustine in 1963 when Kennedy was assassinated. Aye, very interesting. So Kennedy's assassination is one of those things in history that, because it's in modern day time, that many people say, do you remember where you were or what you were doing when you heard the word? It's the same thing that happens for the 9/11. People ask where you were or what you were doing when you heard of 9/11. various points in history of the United States have that notability. So did the people that killed these presidents, did they all get jail time for killing them? No. Lawrence got put in an insane asylum and died in 1861. Schrank was put in an asylum and died in a mental institution. Those are the first two. Here's another one. Let's see. Booth, John Wilkes Booth, died while trying to be captured. Guiteau, who assassinated Garfield, was hanged. Leon, it's got to be a Polish name or a Czech name. I can't pronounce it. I can't even dare try. He actually was put in the electric chair. And then Lee Harvey Oswald died when he was shot by Jack Ruby. So let's go to a couple of others. Here is one for you. Giuseppe Zangara attempted to kill President Franklin Roosevelt on February 15, 1933, just as the president had wrapped up a speech in Miami's Bayfront Park. A total of 5 people were hit by the hail of bullets. Rumors ran rampant for a while that the actual target was Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak, who was in attendance, sustained a bullet wound, and eventually died. Zangara confessed and was sentenced to 80 years in prison, but died of peritonitis on March 6, 1933. Harry Truman's life was threatened in 1950. The would-be assassins, 2 of them, Collazo and Torresola, both Puerto Rican activists, stormed the home where Truman was staying while the White House underwent renovations. The president was under heavy guard at the time, and Torresola was killed, and Truman was never hurt. The other one was convicted and sentenced to death, but Truman commuted his sentence. Paroled in 1979, he returned to Puerto Rico, where he died in 1994. There's a generous man for you, Harry Truman. Here's one for you. An attempt was made on Gerald Ford's life by Lynette Squeaky Fromm. Anybody know what made her famous? I knew this one, but it gave me a reminder. What made her famous was she was one of Charles Manson's lady cult followers. She attempted to kill Gerald Ford. Her gun failed to fire, although she was at close range. No one was hurt. She was sentenced to life imprisonment, paroled after 34 years in 2009. She was protesting environmental pollution. So did the people in these... Yep, that's the one we just answered. Here's the last one for you. And I was there when it all happened. The words, "Honey, I forgot to duck," was what Ronald Reagan told his wife Nancy as he was being wheeled into the operating room after John Hinckley Jr. shot him outside the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. on March 30th, 1981. I was on my second year of duty in Washington, D.C. when that happened. Did you say Squeaky Frog? No, Scarlett, I said Squeaky Fromm. Fromm was her name, Squeaky. Lynette Fromm was her name. Her nickname was Squeaky. And Will the historian. There are many people that believe what you believe, Mr. Historian. Yes, you're absolutely right. Many people believe that LBJ had a very big hand in the death of Kennedy. Never actually been proven, but a very strong conspiracy that many, many people believe in. And I'll add one more thing to it, that most people, and there are not as many left alive now, but my father was one of them. Those of the military that served in the Vietnam War believe that the Vietnam War was extended. Kennedy was trying to get us out of it, and that was one of the reasons for his death. And LBJ would benefit financially from the war. Another conspiracy theory. LBJ Michael J was Lyndon Baines Johnson. Let's see. There was another reason why Hinckley tried to shoot Ronald Reagan. It was not for political means. Anybody know what the reason was? Anybody at all? I'll give you one small hint. John Hinckley Jr. was trying to impress somebody. That is why he shot Ronald Reagan. And anybody, I'll give you extra points if you can tell me the caliber of the weapon he used. Anybody know? I'll wait. You got any good pictures to show? Ladies and gentlemen, John Hinckley was trying to impress actress Jodie Foster. He was totally infatuated with her and thought that shooting President Reagan would impress Jodie Foster. It did not, for one. And Zachary Harker, you're absolutely right. It was a .22 caliber revolver. And Miss Kara Creamer, it was not Marilyn Monroe. It was Jodie Foster. There you have it. Very good. Let's see if I have anything else here. There have been a record number of attempts on the lives of most presidents in modern era, including George Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump. Following the death of William McKinley, Congress directed the Secret Service to assume full-time security for the president, a role the federal agency still fills today. So here's a question for you, ladies and gentlemen. What is something else that the Secret Service is responsible for? Anybody know? I have to put my glasses on to read what Christy just said because she did some research to pop it in. This is one of the things I like about doing this. There it is. Look at that. I can see it. The curse of Tippecanoe presidents elected in a year ending in a 0 have been assassinated or an attempt on their lives. It's probably just a myth, but it's very interesting. I find that interesting. I'll have to do some more research on it. She looked that up. Of course she did. Jodie Foster, weirdo. Who? Scarlett Deerhart. Jodie Foster or the assassin? Aye. So, Mr. Henley, you got any interesting things to say about the President of the United States? Not the one current. We're talking about past ones. We don't need to bring up any sore spots with the current one.
Not much, no. I just try to focus on the current one.
Well, Mr. Longwood, it would appear that we've really taken up quite a bit of time with all of this today, haven't we?
Oh, I was alive when Kennedy was in office. So.
You were alive when Kennedy was in office. Very good. Joe Biden better watch out. Of course. Tax evasion. Let's see. I remembered it from school, but yes, I looked it up to make sure I had the facts straight. Very good. See, this is one of the nice things, and when I talk to people in the museum and hand cards out about the Captain's Quarters podcast, it's one of the fun things I tell them. If you watch the show live, we get to have a conversation and talk, and people get to put their input in and share information. I've learned a few things tonight myself, and that's what I'm hoping the point of this show would always be, for us to have a good time and learn things together, and much of these things are interesting. I wanted to talk about one other thing, but I didn't have a chance to do the research because we spent all day fighting with the gremlins of the technology world. But there were several men that were considered to be president before George Washington was president. It's an interesting point. We may bring it up at another time in history. The first bust in office. Bush. Oh, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll throw one brag out there. In my lifetime, I have shaken the hand of several presidents of the United States. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Richard Nixon, and there was one other. It may have been those four. I'll have to look again. Thank you, Miss Kramer, for giving out the secrets of a captain's bad habits as a sailor. Nixon was not the only president impeached, Ransom. There was another president that was impeached. I think it was in the history that you did, Davey. I don't remember which one, but I didn't know it until tonight that there was another president that was impeached. So it's interesting facts. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, We hope that you've enjoyed our President's evening. Hail to the chief. A very important job, a very tough job. And if you want to see how tough the job is, ladies and gentlemen, look at a picture of the man that goes into office, and then 4 years or 8 years later, look at a picture of the same man when he comes out of office. It does age you. It's not all fun parties and getting to be in front of the crowd and having a good time. It's a very serious, serious job. And no matter who's in charge, we still have to have a certain modicum of respect for the office itself. That is very important because it's the democracy of this country that makes it what we have today. Thank you, Mr. Longwood, for giving that up there and putting it out there. Next week, February 28th, will be the Pirates of Pontchartrain, my friend Alvin Bromfield. And then on March 7th, authors, the Leclures themselves, and their book that they've written that I've read and will be talking about. It's a grand book. I have one around here somewhere. I'll probably have it on the desk when we do this one. So that's what's on the horizon. We're looking at some other. We'd like to tell everybody how great things are going. We have 185 subscribers to our YouTube channel now. We have 4 sponsors. We still have 4 First Mate sponsors. No Powder Monkey yet, but we're looking for that. That's on our Patron website that we have. And ladies and gentlemen, we hope to really get more memberships through Patron. And we'll give each and every one of you, if you join, we give you one of our poker chips as a keepsake and a coin flipper. There it is right there. A coin flipper that you can flip and do what you need with it. We also would like to invite other crews to come along. And those are our sponsors and our supporters, ladies and gentlemen. Dick's Wings, Paper and Strings, the Pirate and Treasure Museum, the Ancient City Sirens, Colonial Oak, Shiver Me Pictures, and maybe there's room for you on there. We have 2 others that we're looking to bringing in. And those down there at the very bottom of the charities we give all our money to, Investing in Ink, St. Augustine Youth Services, and of course the St. Augustine Swashbucklers' own Christmas and Toy Drive. That's what this podcast is all about. I will brag this much. We have enough sponsors and enough supporters in membership that almost all the fees for the entire year till January of next year are covered and taken care of, which means that Mr. Longwood and Mr. Henley and myself, we're doing this because we love to do it. We're not getting a paycheck. We're doing it because it's fun and opens the doors for us to do other things. So ladies and gentlemen, join us, become a sponsor, or become a supporter. One other thing we'd like to put out there for any of you that are listening, tell your friends who have pirate crews. We'd like to have their captain be a guest on our show. One specific episode that we could have that would be all about their crew, the charities they do, and how we can work together hand in hand to be good crewmates and do the things we do as good pirates. And again, we've hit our time. We've done well. It went fast tonight. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed being able to watch what was going on and have everybody be a part of it. We thank you very much. If I seem a little bit sluggish tonight, it's because it's been a very, very long weekend. I had from Friday till Sunday, 18 tours, still trying to get ready for the weekend coming up. I have tours almost every day this week, and it does not slow down. The Pirate Museum has tours every day with only 2 days off between now and the end of March. So it will be a very, very tough month and a half. We want you to be a part of it. I need info again on being a sponsor. All right. We will give you that information, Ransom Mayhem. Don't worry. One more thing to little Michael. Michael, I hope you're still watching. I believe you are. Give me a heads up when you're coming back to see us at the Pirate Museum. And I have a couple of gifts for you. And down the road, we would like to make you a guest on our show. I wanted to do it tonight. I had told you that this weekend, but with all the technology problems we had that lasted 6 or 8 hours today of me screaming and hollering at inanimate objects, it just didn't work out. But That's the way things are. Inanimate objects piss me off. It's a good thing I had rum tonight. Anything that you want to say, Mr. Henley? Anything at all before we go to our final phase out saying?
I think it was a good show tonight. I think everyone really enjoyed this.
I hope so. I hope everybody did, and maybe we can pick some other dates that'll be the same way and have some fun and just put out the trivia. Maybe if in advance, if we put out the notice that we're going to do something like 4th of July, maybe some other people will be ready to answer the questions and or provide us trivia. So it was a good one. Thank you, Captain, for everything. Thank you, Michael J. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see you and Michelle. Oh, that would be for Dell, Scarlett Deerhart. Scarlett, one more thing. You will be setting up on Friday night, at least most everything, at least pulling it all in. Friday night setup. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about done. What do you say, Mr. Longwood?
Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew.
Always, and thank you to all of you. Thank you very much.